So recently I tested Tencent Hunyuan's newly released Hy3 official model through OpenRouter, and honestly I wanted to see whether this was actually useful in real workflows or just another benchmark-focused AI release. After spending time with it, I think the biggest thing that stands out is that Tencent is clearly focusing on practical AI performance instead of only leaderboard rankings. Hy3 feels designed for real-world usage, especially in coding, reasoning, instruction following, and agent workflows. Hy3 is a fast and slow-thinking fused MoE language model with 295 billion total parameters, only 21 billion activated parameters, and support for a massive 256,000 context length. What's impressive is that despite this relatively smaller active parameter size, Hy3 delivers performance comparable to flagship models, 2 to 5 times larger, reportedly going toe-to-toe with models like GLM 5.1 and DeepSeek V4 Pro in agent and reasoning tasks. This is also the first full release following Tencent's rebuilt pre-training and reinforcement learning infrastructure earlier this year, and interestingly, Hy3 went from preview to this official version in roughly 2 months, which is a pretty fast iteration cycle for a model at this scale. Why Hy3 feels different? One thing Tencent repeatedly emphasizes is systematic capability. Instead of optimizing only one skill like reasoning or coding, they're trying to build a model that can coordinate multiple abilities together, including reasoning, long context understanding, instruction following, tool usage, conversation quality, and agent execution. And honestly, during testing, that approach actually felt noticeable. A lot of models perform well on benchmarks, but become inconsistent during long workflows. Hy3 felt much more stable when handling detailed instructions and multi-step tasks. The responses stayed structured, organized, and connected even during longer outputs. Tencent also says they focus heavily on authentic evaluation instead of relying only on public leaderboards. The model is reportedly tested using real-world product workflows, hands-on evaluations, self-constructed test sets, and practical use cases rather than only benchmark optimization. In fact, Tencent mentioned an internal blind test with 270 experts based on real work tasks, where Hy3 actually outperformed GLM 5.1, especially in categories like front-end development, data handling, and CI/CD. For my own testing, I focused mainly on coding and agent capabilities because Tencent specifically mentioned that this is where Hy3 improved the most since the preview version. The first thing I noticed was how organized the response felt. A lot of AI models can generate code, but once the task becomes longer, they usually lose formatting, skip instructions, or stop maintaining structure. Hy3 handled the workflow surprisingly well from beginning to end. It generated a structured project architecture, explained front-end and back-end responsibilities clearly, suggested deployment methods, maintained formatting consistency, and even explained technical decisions step by step. The instruction following quality was probably the strongest part during my testing. Even with long responses, the model continued following every requirement accurately while keeping the reasoning connected throughout the entire workflow. Tencent specifically highlights instruction following and in-context learning as major strengths of Hy3, and honestly, I can understand why after testing it. The model handled large amounts of context without losing track of earlier instructions, which becomes extremely important in coding, agent workflows, and productivity tasks. Tencent introduced evaluation systems like CL Bench and CL Bench Life to measure real in-context learning capability. And according to the company, Hy3 shows significant improvements in both instruction following and contextual understanding compared to the preview version. During my own testing, I also noticed that the model adapted well to formatting instructions and maintained response consistency throughout the session instead of drifting away from the original task. Tencent also highlights major improvements in reasoning performance, especially in STEM-related tasks. According to the company, Hy3 performs strongly on benchmarks like Frontier Science Olympiad and IMO Answer Bench, showing strong complex reasoning capability across science and mathematics tasks. But that standard seems to be shifting. Investors are starting to care a lot more about commercial viability, inference efficiency, and actual ROI. Basically, can this thing make money and get deployed at scale? Not just does it top a leaderboard. And if you look at Tencent's recent stock performance, it's hard not to connect the dots. Hy3's whole approach, extreme MOE efficiency, lower deployment costs, and pricing that actually went down at official launch, lines up almost perfectly with what capital markets seem to be rewarding right now. It's less, look how big our model is, and more, look how efficiently we can actually run this thing in production. That might end up being the more important story here than any single benchmark score. Overall, after testing Hy3 myself, I think this feels much more like a practical AI system built for real productivity workflows, rather than a benchmark-only research release. The strongest parts during my testing were definitely the instruction following, structured reasoning, long context consistency, and the way the model handled multi-step coding and agent tasks without losing organization, all while being significantly cheaper to run than a lot of comparable models and even cheaper than its own preview version. If you're interested in AI agents, coding assistants, long context workflows, or practical reasoning models, I definitely recommend trying Hy3 yourself and seeing how it performs for your own use cases.